Okay. Should be up, I think, now. Give it a minute as usual to wait for that thing to, that number down there, of course, to change to something other than a 0. If anybody can hear me or see me, please mention that you can in the chat so I can know I'm good to get going. There we go. Trying to fix my camera angle there a little bit. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. All right. So it now shows something other than a 0. So that's also something I keep an eye out for as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started as I usually do each month. I usually start off with the bosses just so people can kind of get an idea of what to expect. This is a new boss. Looks like it has 2 heads. Fire and water. Or no, sorry, fire, maybe fire and air. Sorry, fire and air. Duh. Fire and spirit, I mean, excuse me. This is probably fire and spirit based on the looks of it. So this is one of our bosses. This is another boss, and this one is a reused boss. This one used to be, I think it was air and water, water and air originally, but now it looks like it's fire and water. So again, just based on the color scheme, it's most likely fire and water. And then we have the little image there, so it is 2 heads of that boss there, and there's that one. So this one was one of the last few, trying to remember what they're called, the last few raid bosses before they changed them to be named after players. This one is one of the last few. It's called Floating Kabuto originally. So that's one of those ones. And so we have just some effects besides. But so that's a new boss and a reused boss, which is par for the course, really. So number 2 is boss 1, and 3 is boss 2. Take those 2, move them into here. So they're already there. All right, so moving on to the armors. So there are a few reskins as per the usual, but this is one of them. This one was actually, I believe it was Fire and Earth. Charring Dust, I think the name of it was. This is a reskin, just a standard recoloring of that armor, so the same head, same armor, same everything. This one originally, actually, the armor was a reskin itself, kind of a combo reskin. It was a combination of two different weapons. The head slightly restyled of another armor, and then the shield of another armor slightly restyled as well. So it's kind of like a combination of like 3 or 4 armors originally. So this is a reskin of a combo. So this one was, again, it was called Charring Dust originally. It's a few, like 2 cycles ago, or maybe 3 cycles ago now. That's armor 1, and that is Fire Air. I'm pretty sure that's male. Looks like it. Yep, that's female. Very next armor. So that makes it easy. And there's a step down from Ascension on the male. And there's that one I was talking about. This one originally was called the Floating Kabuto. So this is one of the 2 raid armors. This one is fire and water. As you can see, there's the fire effects and the water effects. So that's fire and water on that one. Don't know what it's going to be called yet, but because of course they name them after players. So it might even have a name in game originally, but they're not going to be, of course, keeping it. Whatever it might end up being. Oops, I didn't mean to close it. I wanted to look at it to make sure that was male. Nope, that's female. Never mind. Okay, and here we are. This is our dual fire exclusive right here. So for those of you who wanted to tune in early, there it is. So you can see there's our dual fire. So we've got the fire kind of effects around it, fire eyes, fire swirl at the feet, fire effects. That's the dual fire. So of course I'll be putting the armor together here in a little while, but just so you can kind of get a look at it there. So the 3rd armor in the files is our exclusive. So this is actually I want to say it's the 4th pack of data. The first 2 only had 8 armors in it. The 3rd one had the 10 armors that are in here, and then also the 4th one had some additional miscellaneous things in kind of toward the end of the files, because when these are all extracted, they go in order from the size to the top is the biggest ones, then down to the smallest at the bottom. So this one, for example, here was the biggest file, 110 kilobytes. That's just happens to be the first armor. Second one was 106. That was the female of the same armor. So it goes in order of size. So the smallest ones are always at the end, which is usually like crafting materials, rings and amulets, and other miscellaneous small stuff. So this one is a fire and a water. So this is probably going to be a seasonal, I think. Is it seasonal fire water? Yeah, it used to be Fire Spirit was exclusive. Okay, so this is a seasonal most likely, I would guess. But I've looked these over briefly before, but this is most likely going to be a seasonal. There's the female of the same one. There's that. And there's the male of that fire and water raid armor. And that's Fire Spirit. Yeah, fire effects, spirit effects. So that's fire and spirit, probably fusion, I would assume. I'll, of course, give a breakdown of what I think everything's going to be at the end, but that's just my initial impression of what these are likely going to be. That's the female version of the same one. Same exclusive, rather. So if I zoom in, you can kind of see the look of the armor, which, again, I'll be assembling, so you'll really get to see it better than that. But okay, and then we have the female of this first one, but one step down from Ascension. Oops, not mean to put that D in there. Okay. There is the same Fire Spirit, but that's the... Actually, no, hang on. I may have gotten that wrong. This may be the female. Yeah, it is. That's the female. Not always easy to tell. Okay, so that one there is the male. There we go. Okay, moving on. So this is a step down from Ascension on the raid armor, female version. That's a step down from Ascension on the male of the fire and water seasonal. Pretty sure seasonal. There's the raid armor. That's the male, one step down from Ascension. There's the very first one. That one is male. That's the base. The level 1 one. The level 1 looking one. And there is the fire and earth. Now this is something I noticed right off the bat as soon as I saw these files. This was actually in the very first batch. This is a somewhat reused helmet from the not the last dual earth, but the one before it. The base of that armor had a very similar looking helmet, but it changed, of course, as you ascended it and as you leveled it up. But it's a very similar look and feel there. The armor is totally different, so is the shield. It's just the helmet kind of resembles that one quite a lot. And there was an air fire or fire air from around the same time frame that had a similar kind of helmet as well. But that's what it looks like at Ascension, so you can still see the face inside there. So that's the male of that one. And this is the only fire earth in the file, so therefore this is seasonal. That's female of the fire water non-seasonal. The non-raid armor, I should say. Non-seasonal, duh. That's the raid armor base. Oops, wrong one. That one right there is what I wanted. And there's one step down from Ascension on the male, I think. Yeah, looks like the male of the dual fire. Our exclusive there. There's the base of the female raid armor. And that's one of our fire airs. So when I looked over this the last time, I looked at it earlier today. There is 1, 2, 3 fire airs. 1, 2. See, sorry, 1. No, I'm sorry. There's 1, 2 fire airs, 1, 2 fire waters, 1, 2, 3 fire spirits, fire earth, dual fire, and then a special one that you'll be seeing in just a minute. Which I'm sure most of you probably already put it together what that'll be. But yeah, we're getting there. So this is armor 7, fire air. That looks like it's probably seasonal, but it's hard to say for sure yet. There is the fire and spirit, probably fusion armor right there. I think that's male. Nope, sorry, that's female. I clicked on the right one then. There is our fire and water non-raid armor, which is this one, I think. Yeah. Hey Gax, welcome. Hopefully the next cycle is a step up from the current one. Oh, that's always a step up. If you mean as far as stats are concerned, it's always a step up. There's usually a pretty noticeable difference. Depending on the elements, it was at one point, I mentioned this in previous streams, but it was at one point roughly about 2,200 to 2,600 combined stat points from one cycle to the next. So from one dual fire to the next dual fire. It's gone up to like 3,600 or 3,700 now, I think. I can't remember the exact numbers. I have to look it up, but I have a little spreadsheet that I plug all the values into so I can look at it just to kind of get a basis of reference. But I would imagine that we're going to be clearing 30k pretty easily this time around because we almost did with the last dual fire prior to having a pet. This one should clear it pretty easily and have a little bit of extra probably, depending on your rank, of course, because that makes a huge difference. But let's see, 24. Sorry, I'm losing track of what I'm doing. That's the dual fire. There we go. That's the dual fire, but that's not ascended. That's the one step down from ascension. There's the fire and air we just looked at, but that's one step down as well. There's the fire spirit. That's the male. One step down. I think it's that one, isn't it? Yeah. Just making sure, because I am known to screw myself up. That is the other raid armor. So you can see that guy right there. He's got kind of this weird looking face mask, and face and mask got mashed together into mask. So that's the face right there. That's the other raid armor, so fire and spirit. So that's that one. I don't recognize most of these names in here except for Gax and the K-Man, only because I chatted with him recently today. Fire Spirit, that's the other raid armor, and I'm pretty sure that's male. Looks like it. There's the Fire and Air, that's the male, or the female, excuse me, of that one. That's a pretty obvious difference. You can look right there. Very narrow waist. That's an obvious giveaway with some of them. Some of them aren't that obvious, though. Some of them are a lot more difficult to figure out. So that's Fire Spirit. That's the male base of that one. Again, it's probably Fusion, since there's only 2 Fire Spirits, and Fire Spirit would be Fusion this month. Besides anything that would be Raid or Armor, or Raid or War, of course. But so that is the female, it looks like. Where's the chest? Yeah, right there. Yeah, that's the female version. I can't see these names. There's some of the text. Okay. Oh, it's lit. Okay, there we are. I couldn't read the names. Wing the Umbreon. Okay. The names are like in really, really dark text, and I have a black background on my chat, so I can't see the names unless I like move my mouse over them. Sorry, couldn't see who they were. So anyway, moving on. So this is the Fire Water non-raid armor, which is this one right here, but this is the female of that one. That is the other fire and spirit. So there's actually, yeah, there's 3. Hang on, is that right? Did I read that right? Yeah, sorry, there are 3 fire and spirit. So this is the other fire and spirit. This is probably, I'm going to guess and say it's a guild war, but I'm not positive. So this is armor number 9. And that, I think, is male. Looks like it, because the waist right here, you can see there's... The waist is not narrow at all right here. Very broad. Usually a dead giveaway. And that's the same armor, but just one step down, right after it. How are you able to do this stuff? It's been a long time I've been doing this. So at first, it was much more difficult than it is now. So getting a hold of the file that these images all come in is actually fairly easy. It's getting the data out of it can be a huge pain if you don't know what you're doing. Because the files themselves are all hex encoded, so if you're not really familiar with a hex editor, you're going to have a lot of trouble trying to get anything out of it, because it requires at least some familiarity with a hex editor. There's that fire and earth. That's the only fire and earth, again, like I said in the files. That's the male, one step down from Ascension. And that's the one I was waiting to show you. That is the new Ultimate Armor for the next cycle. So not the one that we're going to be finishing this month, but the one in 5 months from now. But to continue with my answer to your question about how do I do this, going through the images is relatively simple. It's just a matter of looking at the armors and figuring out which ones fit with what. But assembling the armors just requires an application similar to Photoshop. You basically just put layers, like you put the head up on one layer, then you put the body behind it, you know, that kind of thing. So you put the head here first, then you put that behind it, then you put the legs behind that, then this arm would be in between the head and the body layers. So anyway, yeah, so this is the Ultimate Armor. I like the look of it. I'm not a big fan of the sword, though, to be honest, but other than that, I like it. I like the look of it. This is the new Star Metal, and you can tell by the swirls, it's definitely Star Metal. So this is going to be the next dual exclusive armor for 5 months from at the end of this month. So that's it. That's the female of that one. 10, and that is the last armor in the files. So SM, that's female. Then we'll go back to our dual fire base of the female version. There's our fire spirit, but that's the female version. That's this one here, I think. Nope, that's the rest of the raid armor. It's this one here. Yeah, that's right. Had to find the right one. Derp. Okay. Would it be hard to get into with no prior experience? Yes, very hard to get into. And by the way, there's quite a bit of lag, so when you post something, you may have said it like 3 or 4 minutes ago, but I don't see it until just then. And I don't always look because my monitor that has the chat on is on this window, and what you're seeing is on that window. So I've got 2 windows right here and here. So I have to put my hands kind of close. There and there. So you can't really see what I'm looking at. So where you see my mouse and everything is the monitor that I'm looking at right now, but that's my chat window over there. So yeah, anyway. So that is our Fire Spirit, probably Fusion. That's the female base. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you have to be a programmer to do this kind of thing or anything like that, but it's not something easy to pick up if you don't have at least some kind of IT experience. I'll put it that way. Not impossible, just not relatively easy, if that makes sense. Okay, there's that one. So that's the male, or excuse me, the female of the same one. That's the Fire Spirit, this one here, I think. Yeah. Just making sure I'm not screwing myself up again, because I have done that to myself many, many times. Okay, so there's our raid armor, which is this one. Yeah. That's the step down from Ascension on the female. Where would be a good place to start? I honestly couldn't tell you. That's a very good question. I have been in the IT field in some capacity for 22 years, 21 years now. I work for a software company right now. I'm not a programmer, but I work for a software company right now. And I've worked with the development team that we have there on several occasions, helping them with things. So that helps quite a bit because it kind of helps you wrap your head around what they're doing and kind of how they do things. This is not even in the same kind of arena as what as what this would require. So even having that kind of experience wouldn't really help me with this. So it's not something you can just pick up, unfortunately. It's something I mostly figured out on my own. The guy who did the data mines before me, people refer to him as Yafed. It's Y-A-F-E-D. It was actually Yafedim Yaedim was the long name for him. That's where the name came from, but he's changed his name since to Umbra Sheep, because that's what his programming experience, that's what his name is, his professional name, if you will. That's what he does for a living. He's a programmer. But I started doing this around the same time that he quit doing it, just coincidentally. He ended up getting too busy with real life and work. Just didn't have the time to do it anymore. And I coincidentally started like a month after, we had like 1 month where we both kind of did it at the same time, sort of. And then he quit doing it the month after, and I continued doing it. So there was like a month and a half, almost 2 months worth of overlap between he and myself. And then he kind of basically stopped doing it. He still runs his website. I still update it when I can, but it's really out of date right now if you happen to go over to his site, only because he's having issues with his the system we use to upload images. So right now there's nothing more recent than like a full cycle ago, I think, almost now. Oh, actually, I did that one wrong. This one is actually, is it this one? Yeah, that's the female. Got that one wrong. This one's the male. There we go. Much better. Okay. But yeah, it's not like it's something you could just pick up, unfortunately. I'm the kind of person that likes to kind of mess around with things until I figure out how they work. That's kind of how I got where I am. Not only doing this, but also in work life in general. I just like to play with things until I figure out how they work or what they're supposed to do. And then I figure out what causes them to do what they do, and then I kind of work backwards. Reverse engineering to a certain extent. That's what I did to figure this out, actually. I was actually working on the wiki, which I still am the primary maintainer of that. I was working on the wiki, and I asked Yafed, if he could help me with getting some images from older game files, basically like to update the wiki so that it had more current, kind of prettier looking images, sort of. And he said, "Oh yeah, here's how you get the files, but this won't get you access to the new ones that are coming out yet. This will just give you access to the previous stuff, like from last month, last year, whatever." I said, "Well, that's fine to start off with. That's all I really need right now." And then I figured out how to get the files that are coming up. So the first batch of files I got on the 10th. I believe it was. This batch of data I actually got late last night. I believe it was like 10 o'clock my time. It's like right now it's like 8:25 my time, so almost 24 hours ago. This was the latest batch of data I got yesterday, and I got some of this stuff if you can see the dates here. I'm not sure if you can see them on the camera, but this is the 14th. These are all new from here down. So that was new stuff that was added just in the past day. So anyway, so this is our female base of the star metal, which I just did. Now we're moving into the heads. So this is the fire spirit. I think it was this one. Yeah. So now I'm going to label all the heads, all the other miscellaneous stuff that goes in between. That's our fire spirit just above it. There's our cape, which is kind of, in my opinion, kind of plain. It doesn't really match the elements. Last month's didn't either, nor did the month before, so it's not that surprising. But this is the new cape. I mean, it's cool looking, but it's going to pretty much disappear behind the armors that you're wearing it with. But yeah, that's the cape. Let me find the other cape. There's some pet images there. Let me find the cape here really quick, and I'll come back. So 72 and 73. Okay. Yeah, no problem. So 62... 72 and 73. Let me move those into their own folder. I'll just get those out of the way right now before I forget. So this one, I think it was 62, was the cape. There we go. Okay. And I'll, of course, work on that more later. Just wanted to get it out of my way for a minute. Okay. So now we're going to go back into the heads. This is a pet It looks like, I'm not sure what you'd even describe that as. It has like a sword, and it has like little like branches and leaves and stuff coming off of it, and then it has like this, looks almost like a beard, for lack of a better description. And there's kind of like arms and things that come underneath it. I don't know what it even looks like, but that's that. So there's different tiers, of course. So this is probably tier 5. This is probably tier 4. But there's the head for the dual fire. Let me actually get the pets out of the way really quick first before I move on. So 63, 64. I'm going to get those out of the way really quick because I know there's a bunch of them in here. So we got 68, 70, 68, 70 to 76. 68 and 70 to 76. Move those out of the way really quick. Go back, make sure we haven't lost anything. Yep, okay, good. All right. And I'll come back, of course, and relabel all those when I get to that point. But I want to just get them out of the way for a minute. Dual fire. There we go. Whoops. Misclick. 65. And then we have the star metal, which is right above there. That makes it handy. Whoops. That's the fire air right here, I think. Yep. That's the fire earth. The only one. Makes it easy. And you can kind of see if you look at that image, it's, if you remember the dual earth from, not the Firefly Prince was the most recent one, but the one before that. That's what the head sort of looked like before you ascended it. The helmet, excuse me. It has kind of more of a face mask right here on this one than the previous one did, but it looks very similar prior to ascension. Okay, there's our fire air at the very top. I remember that one because that's originally called charring dust. It was fire and earth, if I remember right. Either fire earth or earth fire. There's another pet. That's a different color. That's weird. I don't know what that's all about. So we got 78 needs to be moved into the pet folder. Not sure why that's a different color. That's kind of strange. So that's our fire water, which I think was this one. Yeah, okay. There's another pet. So we got 80, 81, 80, 81, and 82. Okay, so that's our fire water raid armor. Yep. Originally called floating kabuto, but now it's fire water. I think it was water air originally, if memory serves me right. There's another pet. Holy cow, many are these things? 84. There should normally only be 10 images, and there's 13. So it's usually just the avatar, the kind of head shape like this is, with a little circle around it, and then the like kind of the graphical look of it, with it been in pieces and the effects that surround it. Don't know why why there's different ones. It's kind of strange. There's our fire spirit, which I believe is going to be fusion, most likely. Anyway, another pet. Good lord, how many of these things are there? That's 14 now. That's really strange. There's another one, 87. Guess I'll just keep going through them here and moving them one by one. Okay, now we're into rings and amulets. Okay, so this one is the charring dust reused. I'm just gonna, whoops, if my fingers would cooperate, that would be awesome. So this is the amulet for that same armor. And that's the ring for the same armor. That's handy. Right after the other. Okay. Now we've got a new one. That one looks to be our fire spirit, I think. Yeah, it looks just like the shield. And the center of the chest looks pretty similar too. Has kind of the same little spikes coming off the head there, and it has the same jewel that you can see right there in the middle of the shield. Similar kind of look and feel to it otherwise. Yeah, that's it. That's got to be that one. Okay, so that's this one here. That's the ring for that one. And then we have, that's the star metal. That's an easy one to spot because it has all the multiple colors on it and has that same kind of robotic sort of feel that you can see here. very similar in that respect. Like it looks just kind of like the shoulder. Exactly like the shoulder, I should say. And the center of the belt. So that's an easy one to spot. Okay. And then we have the fire air, which was this one, I think. Yeah. Got the same beak on the shield. Where's the shoulder? Yeah, the shoulder has the same flares. Yeah, it looks just like that one. And the front of the helmet, too. That's that one. That's an easy one. Sometimes they're not this easy. I've had several months where I've looked at it and gone, did I get that right? And I didn't. On more than one occasion. That one, I think that's the same one I just looked at. This one right here. Because it looks just like the waist. Right there, that same sort of shape. That was an easy one. Surprisingly easy. Come on, Alt Tab, you dumb thing. There we go. That one, I think, is fusion? Nope, not that one. The one above it. Excuse me. I just selected the same one again. It's this one here. No, that's the one I already looked at. It's the one above. This one. The one I think is probably fusion. Yeah, there we go. Same sort of kind of purplish bluish color right there, and then with the flares coming off, it looks very, very similar to the head. The head sort of design with the flares coming off. And the shoulders too. And the back of the thing there. Yeah, so that one's, pretty sure that's the right one there. So that's the ring. That one is the star medal. That's the fire and air we just looked at. Yep, that one right there. That's the ring. Sometimes this is really easy, and this time around it's really easy. Not always, but this time around it looks like it's going to be. I think that's fire water. Not sure. No, maybe not that one. Maybe it is fire spirit. Oops, no, not that one. I already got the ring for that one. It's not that one, because that'll just be the same one reused. Maybe it's this one. It looks similar. Very similar, actually. I'm going to say it goes with that one for now. Because it looks enough like it that it looks like the color scheme and everything kind of matches. It has the same sort of, like the little kind of pokey things coming off the weapon here. And the same sort of color scheme in general. So I'm going to say it goes with that one for now. I think it does. I'll, of course, come back and fix it if I'm wrong. That's the amulet for it. That was easy. That one's an easy one to spot because it has the same sort of color scheme and the little kind of bony looking protrusions coming out of the side of it. Did I rename that one right? Yeah, okay. This one, that's Fire Earth, I think. Where's it at? There it is. Yeah, looks just like that guy. Same color scheme. Actually looks very reminiscent of the shield right there. That little three little dots right there. The three little pointy bits right there. Yeah, it's relatively easy. Okay, so that one's done. Amulet. And that one's probably going to be the fusion armor, I think. Actually, no, I already got the fusion armor. Did I? Yeah, I did. What does that go with? Not that one. Not that one. It's not that one. Let me look at the dual fire. Oh, it's actually that one. Never mind. I hadn't even looked at it that closely. It's the same sort of like kind of pinkish color as the shield and the rest of the armor itself. So that's that one. So that's the dual fire ring. There is the fire and water. Looks just like the shield. I think that's this one. Yeah, looks just like the shield. That's an easy one to spot. Those are nice when they look just like the shields because they're easy to figure out. That one is, I believe, the fire and earth. Right here. Yeah, it's the same sort of horns and everything as the helmet. Same sort of shape right there too. Easy. I like it when they're easy. There's the floating Kabuto reskin. That's the amulet, or the amulet that goes with that one, because it looks just like the original. Looks just like the shield too, which makes it easy. That's the floating Kabuto reskin. That's the same one, that fire and water, I believe, seasonal. Yeah, looks just like the ring. And the front of the helmet sort of looks similar too. Okay, that's that one. That one is the dual fire. It's the same color scheme. There's a crafting material. That's, I think, our fusion armor. I think. This one. Yeah, it has the same sort of color scheme to it. Doesn't look too much like the shield, but it doesn't necessarily always look like the shield. Has the same sort of shape right here in the front of the helmet as it does right there. Kind of looks very similar to the helmet, except for these two little points here. But it looks more or less just like it. So that's that one. Oops, that's crafting material. And there is a cob of corn. Don't ask me. I don't know. I looked at these earlier. I was like, why is this in here? So there's cobs of corn. And then there's cherries. Oops, there's the floating Kabuto. Let me grab that really quick. That's this one here. That's the ring for it. So that's 115. Really quick before I forget. So they have cherries. Let me close this and start that back up so you can see them better. So we have a cob of corn. Looks like elemental. So we've got all the different colors. And then we've got that one, which doesn't really match anything because the first one. So the first one here looks like it's air. We got the red one, which would be fire. Blue one, which would be water. Purple, which would be spirit. And that one would be air, I think. Or earth, sorry. This one's probably earth. But yeah, there's one in here that's like, it doesn't really match anything. There's 6 of them. So this one, I don't know. Someone was hungry while designing it. New pet bait? It's possible. It might be. But that's, this one doesn't really seem to match. Maybe this is supposed to be star metal? I don't know. But there's 6 elements, which in the game there's 5 elements in the star metal. And the same thing with these cherries. So I don't understand it. I don't know why they're there. So, and then we have the second crafting material. So let me rename the crafting material. So this is SF52, material 1. And that doesn't mean I know which material is which. I just name them that way to make it easier for me to keep track of. And then these other materials, I don't know what these even are. So I'm just going to leave them kind of where they are. I'm not going to rename them, I mean. I'm going to move these all into a separate folder here that I use for after I start putting things together. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's interesting, but I don't know what it's used for. It might be new pet bait. It's possible. I don't know. Oops. And copy and paste. Give that a second to finish. All right. So now we have the materials, we have the bosses, we have the miscellaneous, whatever those things are, all the armors, the heads, amulets, and rings of each one. Let me rename these pets really quick before I forget. Let me close that, actually. Start fresh. Okay, so from here, so this is the first one that's probably tier 5. That's probably tier 4. Probably tier 3. Tier 2. And then this random colored one that doesn't match. And then another random colored one that doesn't match. And then probably, these are probably the individual tiers. So let me look at this first picture here again. Yeah, that's probably tier 5. I'm just looking them over really quick first here. So this is tier 5. So 82. And then it's like they have different colors. It's messing with me. So let me find the one that's probably tier 1. That one right there is probably tier 1, which is 86. That's probably tier 2, which is 84. And that one, 80, is probably tier 3. And that one's probably, I'm not sure about these, I'll have to look at them again, but this is how I'm going to label them for now. And that's tier 4. Again, just a guess, but I'm not positive. So tier 1 looks very basic. Tier 2 is a little bit bigger than tier, actually no, I have those backwards. I have tier 2 and tier 3 backwards. Because tier 3 has like a shield looking thing kind of attached to it. Whoops. No, dumb thing, stop it. I'm trying to remove that 1, thank you. So let me start over here. So tier 1, very basic looking. Tier 2, a little bit more interesting. Tier 3 has like a shield and the same sort of stuff. Tier 4 is bigger with a shield, and Tier 5 has the helmet with the shield. So there we go. Got it. And now I don't know what these 3 are, though. It's like that one's the same, but the shield's different colors. Like it looks the same as one of them, but it's a totally different color. And then that one looks like the Tier 5, but again, totally different color. Like it's Spirit or something. I don't know. It's weird. So it looks like it's the same as some of the other tiers, but there's 4 of them, but there's not 5. So I don't know what that's about. Anyway, moving on. So we're going to start assembling armors now. We are now 40 minutes almost exactly in. So we're going to go back to here. Mail, 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 and mail. And we'll give this a second to open because it always seems to take a while. Yeah, Thanksgiving. It's entirely possible. I'm not sure that's the case, but that makes a lot of sense, actually. It's probably exactly what it is. And there's, if they are pet baits, yeah, there is usually one for each element, true. So we'll find out soon enough. Okay, so armor 2, armor 5, armor 4, armor 1. There we go. Put them back in order here. Okay, so starting off with our Charring Dust reskin. My computer always seems to lag quite a lot more when I've got this application open, so if my video or my audio is a little stuttery, that's why. I really need to upgrade. I've been using the same computer for my live streams for like, I want to say 3 years now? Because I've been doing it for just over 3 years. But I didn't use this computer at the very beginning. Or actually, sorry, I did use this computer at the very beginning, but I upgraded the computer itself. I got more RAM in it, and I've got better equipment since otherwise. But I haven't, but it's still an old computer that only has so much processing power. It's a really old laptop, put it that way. I'm trying to remember where this the armor came from on this particular armor. It was a fire armor also, I just don't remember exactly where it came from, what season it came from. But the weapon is a combination of 2 weapons. One was the Tectonic Bulwark. I've got to change that layer. It's got to be in front of the head so it sticks up next to it. There we go. There's that armor before I do anything else to it so you can kind of see it. Alright. Now the shield, sadly, like most of the time, the shield is massive and it's going to cover up most of the effects that you can see on that arm. But that's a pretty common thing, sadly. Put you right here. No, actually, sorry, I gotta put it right there. I can go right here. Let's see, where's the hand? Right about here. Then we'll go up and grab the weapon. Yeah, but the Tectonic Bulwark was the armor that this weapon first appeared on, and it was like, I want to see season 12 or 13, something like that. So it was actually, reused armor and, pieces from an armor, but the armor itself is actually really old. So it's not as obvious to someone who maybe just started playing the game in the last year or so. But I've been doing this for 3 years now, and when I first started doing it, Dragonforged were still appearing in the game files. They haven't been for a long time. Big old humongous handle on this puppy. Right about there. Ta-da! There's that armor all fully assembled. trying to wait for it to merge my layers. Computer is bogging down. Put you right about there. There we go. So how wide are you? Man, that's a wide armor. Not as wide as some I've seen, but still pretty wide. Now I gotta go to here. There. Oh, nope, sorry. Wrong one. Nope, that's this month. There we go. Okay, now our floating Kabuto reskin. This was actually, for the longest time, one of my favorite looking armors. Just because I like kind of the whole sort of Japanese-themed, holding a katana. Not quite samurai, but more kind of ninja-esque, I guess you could say. But very clearly elven in design. Like you can see, you've got the elvish sort of looking pointed ears coming off of it. But the outfit itself has a very kind of Japanese feel to it. There's that. And there's that. Gotta get the arm hiding up here at the top. Right about there. You can kind of see what that looks like before I add anything else to it. And again, the massive shield covers up most of that side. So you can't really see it once I put this in place anyway, but it's okay. It almost kind of looks like it fits like perfectly over that shoulder, sort of. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of how I felt about it too. It's not so bulky and massive like a lot of the armors are. Like the dual fire is just going to be humongous. May even be the biggest armor so far. Like as far as like the width from side to side, I mean. Man, that hand's going to get chopped up big time. Oh well, that's not that big of a deal. I do this pretty normally. Pretty commonly, I should say. Yeah, it's a much more elegant looking armor. It doesn't have all the extra kind of miscellaneous stuff in the way that makes it look kind of bulky and goofy. But yeah, I like this armor in the first place when it first came out. And this version I'm not as big of a fan of, but it's not bad. It's just I'm not a fan of fire armor kind of looks in general most of the time. That can go right about there. Ta-da! So again, I have no idea what these are going to be called because the raid armors have their names always changed. I don't know what the names of any of them are because all I get in the files is just images. So, and knowing the name of this armor wouldn't do me any good because the name would be changed anyway prior to that raid. So 270, that's fairly close to square. Not perfect, but not bad. Armor 2. Okay, now we have the one that everyone wanted to see. I'm pretty sure. This is our dual fire exclusive, which has a very pink sort of color to it, which I'm not sure I like. But as I said, I'm not usually a huge fan of fire armors. Fire and spirit sometimes. Fire and air can be kind of cool looking sometimes too, but if I had to pick, I'd pick spirit and earth months as far as just the looks of the armors. Just because they kind of look, I don't know, I like the look of them a little bit better. I mean, I like the look of the armor. I'm just not a huge fan of the color scheme. but a lot of that's personal interpretation. Some people might like it, some people won't. This one just has a massive, massive helmet on it. It's going to be right about there. Oops. Like about like that. So that one's what that looks like before I add anything else. Because this one also has a humongous shield on it. And it's going to cover up most of that side as usual, but I want to kind of get it where it would normally be held, like about like that. And then we have this massive, like, two-sided axe with these flares coming off of the sides of it. Massive, massive weapon. It's huge! Look at the size of it. Massive. Oops, I missed. I want to move that just to... Yeah. Actually, that's good right there. Never mind. Doubting myself for a second there. Where I wanted to place that. Because this wrist is going to be blended a lot. It's not going to be as obvious when I finish. Anyway, kind of clean up that edge of that weapon a little bit so I can blend in the other one behind it. The other end of it, rather. This big old massive long thing here. Got a little bit of a bleeding edge right there at the bottom end of that handle right there. You can kind of see just right there. Looks a little weird. Happens occasionally. Some armors just have that kind of that little bit of a bleeding edge. Kind of like it bled over, like they didn't blend it in properly at the end when they were finishing it up. And there's that. There's the dual fire. And it is huge. Okay. Get you kind of up into this vicinity here. How wide are we? No, it's not actually that big. I'm surprised. I mean, it's big, but it's not as big as I was expecting it to be. Or I was thinking it was going to be, rather. Right about there. Trying to get it centered in that box. There's the dual fire. Alright, now we're going to move on to our fire and water, which I believe is a seasonal. Again, I'll go through all these when I get done, but just kind of giving some early predictions on what I think things are going to be. I like the look of this one, mostly because, with the exception of some of the accents of it, it looks like an actual knight's armor. And I've mentioned that in previous streams. I like the looks of actual knight armor, like what a knight would actually have worn. Not that these are realistic by any means, but what a knight would have actually worn. Because this is a massive helmet. I mean, it's humongous. But just so, you know, I like the looks of kind of traditional knight armors. Like, I like the little, like, kind of furry bits that come off the bottoms of the legs there. Right next to the legs, rather. Right there. I also like it kind of around the shield at the top edge of it. I just like kind of traditional looking knight armors. Kind of always have. And the arm. Now this bit right here on the side of the arm, that's not anywhere remotely close to traditional. Still cool looking, but weird. For lack of a better term. And it's just on the one side too, for whatever reason. I don't see one, even like a shadow of one over here on the other side. It's just that one side. Which, I mean, could be something that like a knight might use for jousting or something, I suppose. But this weapon, of course, is much more, you know, much more ostentatious, much larger than you'd actually would probably ever use. But there's that armor again before I add anything to it. And then this shield's going to go right about here. And the weapon is this massive, huge, humongous thing. Massive, huge, mungus. I can't talk today, apparently. And then we'll put that kind of right about there. Got to blend in that wrist as well. A lot of that blending going on there. And I've also got to kind of trim the edge of that weapon right there too, the handle of that weapon, to kind of make it blend a little better with the rest of the handle. I don't have to do that every time, but I do have to do it often enough, probably 70 to 80% of the time, because the weapons wouldn't normally blend in nicely if I didn't do that. Like if I went to here, you would see an obvious edge right there if I hadn't blended that in. But when I put it like this, it's not as obvious. Like when you zoom out, it's not as obvious that it's there. I mean, it's still kind of obvious, but it's probably because I haven't moved it in far enough. Or maybe I haven't moved it out far enough. There we go, that looks much better. Like about like that. Probably where it's supposed to be. So so you can see if I just escape out of here, you can't really tell there's an edge there unless you zoom way in. But if I don't kind of clean that edge up, it'll look funky. So I always like to do that to make it look a little nicer, even though probably nobody other than me would notice. Okay, so this one's really wide. Holy crap, 330 pixels? That's huge. The only armor bigger than that is the Decatron, which was 350. Right about there should work. Hey Floppy, welcome. Haven't seen you in ages. Okay, now we have our Fire Spirit, which I think, as I said, is probably going to be Fusion, but I'm not positive because there's 3 this month, so. Oh, I'm not going too bad. Just doing my live stream. A different time that I would normally do it, but just that ends up being how it worked out this time. Because I could do it on Sunday when I normally would do it, kind of mid-afternoon sort of time. But that's right in the middle of the Guild War, or not right in the middle of it, but you know what I mean. And it wouldn't be like ideal for a lot of people to even be able to watch. So they might be able to join in for a few minutes, but they wouldn't be able to, stay for the whole thing, or even a portion of the whole thing. But yeah, not bad all in all. Okay, so this is going to be a funky fit here. Just a weird like waist there. I'm not sure that I like that. It's weird. Kind of goes underneath like that, but like it has these like strap-looking things. Weird. You're happy you're not playing KnD anymore? I wonder why you're still in chats and why you still come on live streams then if you don't play the game anymore. I mean, I understand the social side of things. I get that, but why come on a live stream for next month's armors when you don't even play the game anymore? Just strikes me as weird, I guess. All right, so there's that armor. I like the look of that one. I like kind of like the, almost looks like feathers coming off the top of the head there. Okay, which shield are we using here? This one. To say hi. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so let's see. That's going to go right about, trying to get this gauged right about there. Gauge where the hand would be. So we can kind of align it where the kind of the center-ish of the shield would be. How have you been, Floppy? How's that for a question? Since we're on the topic, how have you been? That's like bleeding into the armor right there. Clean that up. Good. You left 95 plus chats? Holy cow. I would die if I was in that many chats. I'm only in like 40 some odd, 50 some odd, something like that. I would scream if I was in that many chats. I would lose my mind. Okay, where are we at here? Where's the end of this thing? About like that. There we go. Okay. Living life. Good. Good to hear. I'm obviously still playing. I wouldn't still be doing these data mines if I wasn't. Actually, you know what? I probably would. I'd probably still be doing them even if I wasn't playing anymore. Kind of like doing them. Oh, you don't get notifications? Yeah, I actually turned off notifications a few days ago for that very reason, because I was just like, I've got to take a break. And it's been kind of nice, to be honest. Okay, moving back to here. Now going to do number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Looks like I'm having some I'm getting an alert on my streaming software that my computer is running high. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's only 40%. I can't see that where that ends. There we go. This helmet's kind of funky shaped. Oh, what am I doing? I haven't even organized. That's number 9. Nope, you go to the end. You go to the end. That one goes there. That's just something I do. I don't know why I do it. I just do it. For some reason, I don't like it when they're out of order. Call me anal retentive if you like, but I like things to be in order. I like things in their places where they go. I just couldn't play anymore. I love that people hate the game. Yeah, I get that. I understand. A lot of people have felt the same way and have done the same thing. Yeah, I like the look of this one. Fire and Earth are usually pretty decent looking armors. This one does borrow some elements from other armors, but it is kind of unique in its own right. Like the helmet, like I said earlier, if you were on when I started, the helmet on this one is kind of borrowed from the dual Earth we had, not the last one, but the one before it. Yeah, the previous SS2. It has a very similar kind of look and feel to it. Let me see actually if I can find it really quick. Just bear with me for a fast second here. Is it this one? Nope, wrong folder. No, I moved it off my drive. I don't have it on here anymore. I moved it off on my storage. But I did have it in here. I had the previous season's worth of data on here. I just don't have it on this drive anymore, and I don't want to go searching for it right now. But yeah, it has a similar look to the Dual Spirit and the Dual Earth that preceded it. In my opinion, kind of more the Dual Earth, the Dual Earth that succeeded it, because it was the month after. The Veiled Carver was the Dual Spirit. Was that a UA you just saw? Yes, it was. There is not rumored to be another one. There is going to be another one. I'm actually going to be showing it in just a minute. So for those of you who weren't on here before, you're going to see it in just a second. And yes, you did see an Ultimate Armor. It is Star Metal. It's the one coming up for the one that players will be getting in 5 months' time, roughly. So there's that armor before I add anything to it. And then the shield, going to go right over the top of that armor right there. It's actually a relatively small shield, which is kind of strange, because usually Earth armors have bigger shields. The weapon's also relatively small, which is kind of a nice change, because there's so many weapons that have humongous, or so many armors that have humongous weapons on them. This one's kind of a nice change to have something that's not quite so huge. Yeah, we got confirmation in the Sages chat that there'd be another Ultimate Armor. I want to say it was Monday or it was either Monday or last week sometime. So it's been just recently that we got confirmation. And apparently they were waiting for this month before they said officially to anyone else that there would be another one. And it's right here in the file, so it's kind of hard to miss. There's the weapon there for that one. Kind of a nice small looking armor. I like the look of it. Give that a second. Okay. Kind of try to get this up in this corner where I'm within. If you can see these blocks behind here, you probably can. I try to get it 2 here and 2 here just so I can kind of get it centered nicely. And then I look at the side here, and down here in the bottom, you can see my pixel measurement. So that's about 255 right there. As long as the armor is not too tall, and it is, unfortunately, I'm going to do it 265 instead, just to see what that looks like. Just about right. So it's actually taller than it is wide, which is really rare for armors. Usually they're much wider this way than they are this way. So, all right, let's save that one. Armor 6, Fire and Earth, the only Fire and Earth, which means it's a seasonal. So that's going to be our seasonal Fire and Earth. I didn't actually change anything, but thanks for warning me. Okay, here's our Fire and Earth, or Fire and Air, excuse me. I think this is probably also seasonal. Not positive, but it looks like it probably is. And I like the look of this one because it has a very kind of bird motif to it. Like feathers and beaks and stuff. Like there's a beak right there and feathers coming off the back. And then there's feathers also on the shield and beak on the shield. I generally do like Fire Air armors though, so that's not too much of a surprise. I don't like all of them, but there are some of the more cool looking ones, some of the more inventive ones, I guess you could say. I'm going to give that a little bit of a gap in the neckline because if I put it right up against there where you can't see the neck anymore, it looks like the head's like smashed down on the body, like it's way too close. So I'm going to give that one just a little bit of a gap because it looks like it kind of lines up right there a little better. Move it. There we go. Kind of trying to line it up to where it looks more realistic for the anatomy of the knights in the game. This bottom end is going to be relatively simple to line up because it just goes right up in there and matches up nicely. Okay, now the outer arm has some bleeding edges, but I'm not going to worry about cleaning them up because it's going to be hidden behind the shield for the most part. Except for, let me look at this really quick. This top edge right there has a little bit of a bleeding edge right there. And these are going to be hidden behind the shield, so I'm not worried about them. But that happens, like I said earlier, from time to time. They'll have a kind of a weird... I'm going to have to... Hang on a second. I got to move that now. I got to change my layers because it's got to come up next to the head, not behind it. About like so. So there's that one. I like the look of that armor. I think it's cool looking. Alright, shield. Big old massive shield with feathers coming off of it. They look almost like flames. Which is probably intentional. Because it is, after all, Fire Month. Go figure. Alright, so that's the shield, which is going to go right about... Let's see. Right about there. And the weapon on this one has this like interesting flame, like feathery flame look to it, which I also like. I like it when the art team like kind of does different things with more mundane stuff. Like it's a sword, yes, but it's got this really cool flame coming off of it, you know. I just like how they kind of change things up occasionally. And from what I understand, there is more than one art team that they work with, that Deca works with, I mean. There's more than one art team, which is why some of the armors have a very kind of different look to the rest. It's because they were designed by different people. So, I mentioned a couple of streams ago how it seemed like, maybe 3 streams ago now, that it seemed like they had a different art team, and it's because they actually do. Not all of them, of course, are designed by the same people. That's going to look funky to me. Am I going to be able to fix that? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix that. Kinda. I'm not sure if that's better or worse. That's better. Okay, that'll work. That one's also kind of small by comparison to some of the other ones. Like the Fire Earth was kind of small. This one's kind of small too. Okay. Oops. Move. There we go. I don't want to cut and paste or delete. I want to move right about there, about 270. This one's also really close to square, even closer than the previous one. Yeah, really close to square. Armor 7. Okay, and now oop, I closed one too many. Crap, I hate when I do that. I gotta open back up. Number 8. I did not mean to close that one. I closed too many at once. So this is the second rate armor. This is a brand new one. I kind of like the look of this one too. Has kind of a cyberpunky sort of feel to it. With this kind of cool looking mohawk on the goggles. But the armor itself still kind of pretty, you know, simple looking relatively. But the head kind of gives it that little flair. It's not normal, you know. It's kind of a different looking armor because the helmet looks a little funky. And of course, the feet have kind of more like talon looking things as opposed to just being boots, like a lot of the armors are. And there's a little bit of a bleeding edge on the bottom of that foot I'm going to have to fix. That bothers me. I'm going to go right about there. Just a little bit off that edge. There we go, much better. Okay, now the arm, top corner. So many times it's in this top corner, I don't know why that is. Now that I'm looking at this armor, I think I may have gotten one of the rings wrong. But I'll look at it in a minute. Maybe I didn't, not positive. So there's that one, before I add anything to it. Hey, Flem, how are you? It has been a long time. It's the return of the old crowd I used to chat with all the time. Sorry, that was probably really loud. Opening up another beer. So this one's pretty cool looking. I like this one. I do like it. It's just some of the other aspects of the armor are kind of funky, but I like it all in all. It's an inventive, kind of nice change to have something different from what we always normally get. Okay, this massive shield is going to cover up, sadly, most of that arm, so you can't really see it anymore. But, there we are. I'm doing pretty good, actually. All in all, can't complain. No one listens to me anyway when I do, so not like it really matters. Every time I say that, people are like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I can't complain. Every time I say I can't complain, it reminds me of a Monty Python skit from, it's probably, I think it was probably from the 70s, to be honest, but a guy goes into basically a place where you go to complain, like a complaint department, but not a complaint department. I don't know how you describe it, but he goes in there to complain, and the guy walks into the room, and the guy's like, you want to complain? Look at these shoes. I've only had them for 3 weeks, and the heels are worn right through. You might as well, you go ahead and complain. You might as well. You might as well not bother. Nobody listens anyway. Just cracks me up. I watched that when I was a teenager, so many, many, many years ago. Say teenager. I would have been, in 3 years, I'll be 49, so 30 years ago almost. Yeah, I'm an old man. I'll be 46 in like a week. All right, there's that one. And we'll move you over to here. This armor reminds me of some of the old legendary and epic armors that had the really interesting looks because they were based on the boss, like the epic boss armors. Like what was it called? Something Behemoth. It was a Fire and Spirit, I think. Behemoth armor, something like that. I can't remember the name, but it had a really kind of cool looking armor or weapon too. It looked almost like a Venus flytrap sort of looking thing. It's pretty cool. Yeah, Star Metal's coming up. And one more armor after this one. I'm just going to resize this really quick, and then I'll be moving on. 290. Should be 290. Whoops. There we go. Is that good? Yeah. There we go. This is armor 8. This is the raid armor, the second raid armor. And we're now on to this guy here, which I started off with and then realized I'm on the wrong armor. I gotta start over. This one actually has some bleeding edges all over the helmet. I gotta fix those before I move on. I will show you in just a second. I'm almost done. You can wait. It's only gonna be a few minutes. So this one, you can really see it right there. Right there's a little bit of a bleeding edge, and there's some right there too. A little bit right there. And then this one's obvious. Just occasionally those pop up. I'm not sure why it is. They've only been kind of occurring for the past few months. I don't know why. Out of the blue, just weird little edges that don't quite blend properly. So I kind of have to manually fix them. But yeah, like I was saying, I'm going to be doing the I'm going to be assembling the sheet here in just a second. So just chill out for a minute. I'm almost there. That foot's also got a lot of bleeding over on it too. It's like the art team was just, you know, getting these assembled and getting ready to load them into the game, and they didn't kind of clean up the edges as much as they should have maybe. But you can really see it there, like that whole bottom of that foot right there, that boot is all bled over. And there's the arm, which has a bleeding edge in the bottom of the hand, but I'm not worried about it. Are you still playing, Flem? That's actually a question I wanted to ask, because... Chill out, guys. I was talking to Floppy earlier, and he's not playing anymore, and he just came on to say hi, but I'm not sure if he's still on or not now. So there's our Fire and Spirit. That one is, I think, probably a War Armor, but I'm not sure. And this one has a really small shield, too. This is weird. Like, there's not usually... Shield's not usually this small. Okay, I wasn't sure if you were still playing or not. Hadn't heard from you in a while. A little bit of an edge there. A little bit of an edge there. Not much. Not too bad on that one. This can go right about here. And the weapon right here. This is a cool looking weapon too. Kind of like a standard sword, but with kind of cool different edges on it. Still being sponsored, though. I wouldn't know anything about that because I don't play on iOS, so not something I ever worry about. This can go right about there. That blended in nicely. Ta-da! That's also got a really small weapon comparatively. Kind of small-ish armors. The exclusive is far from small, and some of the other ones are pretty big too, but this one's actually pretty small. The Fire and Water, which I think is seasonal, is also pretty large, but this one's relatively small too. This one's actually much smaller than I thought it was going to be. 235. Wow, this one's another one that's taller than it is wide. Not a lot taller, but it is. I just can't keep up. You say so. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. I hit the wrong button. Duplicated the layer instead of saving it the way it was supposed to be. Okay. And there's that one. And here's the ultimate. The next ultimate, I should say. Well, guys, I gotta say, it's not a contest. When it comes to this game, it honestly boils down to who can save the most gems or who can spend the most money. Sad to say, but true. That's right about there, I think. Yeah, that looks good. I wonder what that little thing is. Right there. Looks like the end of the hilt or something. Kind of strange. I'm not including it, but I don't know what that is yet. I do like the look of this armor, though. Very robotic looking. A little bit of a bleeding edge at the bottom of that hand, too, but I'm not worried because it'll be behind the shield. And that's going to go right about there. That's a cool looking armor. I like that. Go up just a tad more. Oh, maybe not. Trying to figure out where that kind of fits in best. That looks pretty good there, though. The shield's kind of simple, but I like that at the same time. Okay, shield right about there. $370 gems, look out. Okay. This weapon, though, I'm not, like I said, I'm not really a big fan of this weapon. I mean, it kind of has a katana sort of feel to it, which I like, but it's also just, I don't know, maybe it's a little too simple. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Looks a little oversimplified for a Star Metal armor. But again, maybe that's just me. It might just be me. Okay, where's the rest of that handle? There it is. Drop you in behind, like so. About like that. Kabam! There it is. There's the next Star Metal. The next ultimate, I should say. Okay, there we are. Look about like that, and how tall are we? 260. Wow. Another one that's taller than it is wide. A few of those this time around. Okay. Let me go back to my other folder here. It's a Megazord. Let me look at my other folder here. Give me 1 second to find it. Gotta look at my last one. This one had 12 on it, so I don't need it to be that wide. Let me look at the previous one. That'll work nicely. Width-wise, should be good. So 1300 by 1400. Probably don't need that much room, but I'm gonna make a new one here. 1300 by. Let's do 1300 square. That should be good. All right. You down there. Right about the 350 mark. Go down to here to about the 700 mark. Perfect. Okay. I go to here. I go back to my folder where all my armors are. Right there. Start putting some stuff down here. Should be over the top, yes? Good, okay. There's our first one. And our second one. I want to kind of get them close to each other without getting them too close to each other. Because if I get them too close to each other, they will cause issues. So there's the dual exclusive right there. For anyone who was waiting to see it. Still looking cute like always. Sure, if you say so. I'm not getting any younger, that's for damn sure. Okay, I may have to move these. That's a humongous armor. These are both actually really big. I'm probably going to have to move this this guy here and the exclusive to the side. So they're a little closer together. I don't want to get them too close, but I also don't want to have like there be too much room in between these guys. because I'm going to probably need that little bit of room to fudge around moving these guys where they need to be. That should do it. That should do it, I think. Okay. All right. Fire and water. I forget this one's also huge. Crap, I may have to reorganize this. This isn't going to work. I'm going to have to make this thing wider than it needs to be. Because the whole bottom row is all small. The whole top row is huge. Well, not the whole thing. This one's small, but... Okay, let's resize this. Let's make this 1450. Whoops. Totally got that wrong. There we go. Go back to the background. I'm going to delete everything back here in the back. Bye-bye. Oops, why did it not delete? Why are you fighting me, you dink? Oh, because I deleted it from the other layer. Never mind. Okay, let's just try that again now. Okay, so let's go to here. I'm going to move him over as well because he's humongous. Just so it's not like right on top of it, but it's also, you know, there's some room there anyway to work with. Now I've got room to put my other armor in here, which is my Fire Spirit, which is also huge. I knew I was going to need that room. That whole top row is just massive armors. The armors are huge. It's actually going to work out perfectly. My 1450 guess was good. He shoots, he scores. Okay, moving on. All right, man. Good having you. Have a good one. Take care of yourself. Stay safe and all that good stuff. Okay, let me get that lined up there. Sorry, I'm not checking the chat as often. I'm in the middle of doing this. I sometimes forget. That's going to be right about there. They aren't going to perfectly line up, but that's okay. This one's huge, so it's not going to line up really all that well either. And these two at the end are going to be tiny. By comparison, they're going to be tiny. I may even move them over so they kind of more line up with the ones above them. I may rearrange this a little bit too, but I'm just trying to get them down where they need to be. More or less. I don't want the gap to be humongous between these either. That will have to work. Okay, so I'm actually going to move these guys, these middle three, over just a little bit. More like that, so they're kind of more centered. Because I kind of want this guy to be right in the middle, more or less. And he basically is right now, because this is 1450 wide, and this is about 726-ish in the middle here, so that's pretty centered. And I'm going to move this guy here over just a little bit more to center as well. Kind of clean it up a little bit. There we go. Okay, good enough. There we are. So now let's do rings and amulets. Amulet right about here. Ring right about here. Oops. Duh. What am I doing? Amulet for you is going to go right about here. Ring right about there. Amulet for the dual fire. There's our exclusive amulet. Dad Joker in chat, don't we? Well, to be fair, I am a dad, so therefore dad jokes are not only appreciated, they're also encouraged. I'm actually a grandpa on top of that, so I take the cake twice. In that particular respect, anyway. There's our ring and amulet set for the fire and water. And the ring and amulet set for the fire and spirit. Over here on the far right. Oops, I chopped off the top of that little helmet thingy there. I may have to move that one. I may have to move that one manually rather than using the default square it comes with. Because it's kind of chopping it off a bit. So I want them to kind of more or less line up with this same sort of plane here. Okay. Now we can go right about there. Dad jokes are peak comedy. Definitely can be. Definitely can be. Okay, moving on to row 2. Put you about right there. Kind of try to get the ring or the amulet kind of up and to the right of the head slightly. Like you can see here, it's just a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right, not perfectly on top of it, but this one I moved over a little farther than I meant to. I'm going to move that one over just a hair, like that. That'll work. As long as they're in the vicinity of where they're supposed to be, I'm not too worried about it. One right there. Right there. Okay. Got the amulet for that one right about there. And the ring right about there. Oh, too close. There we go. I usually do the rings and amulets on a separate layer, but I don't have enough overlap for it to be a problem, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Okay, and last but not least, our new ultimate armor for about 5 months-ish from now. Okay. There we go. There's our armors. So really quickly, I'll give kind of a prediction of what I think these are going to be. So fire and air is going to be a war, most likely. This is a raid. Dual exclusive seasonal. Dual exclusive, excuse me. This fire water is most likely seasonal. This fire spirit's most likely fusion. This fire earth is seasonal. This fire air is most likely seasonal. This fire and spirit is raid. This fire and spirit's probably war. And then, of course, we have the dual, or the star metal, which is going to be our ultimate armor in about 5 months' time. So there we are. Now I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to get the star metal first, since that's the only one that's kind of unique by itself. Put this right about here, kind of down on that line, like there. I'll do another one right next to it, about like that. And then we're going to do the other elements besides. So first of all, let's do with water. We have this one here. Look at the feet on that one, how far away I did. Okay, trying to make them kind of consistent as how far away from the feet they are. Okay, that one there, and then that one, I'm zooming all over the place, sorry. Trying to get where I need to be. That one right about there. Okay, now we're going to do spirit, and there are 3 of them. Got this one over here, which, like I said, is probably going to be fusion. Most likely, anyway. This one right here, which is most likely going to be a war. And then this one next to it, which is raid. That one I know is raid. I'm just not positive about the wars versus seasonals on the fire, air, and fire spirits. Okay, now we're going to do earth, which is just the one. Whoops, I'm in the wrong window. Zooming in and out in the wrong window. That one there, the only one of its kind in this particular batch of data. There we go. Now we can do air, and then after that it'll all be fire. So that one and that one. Okay. Now we're going to do fire over and over for the rest. Okay. Ooh, Slow down there, Turbo. Jumping all over the place on me. Okay, now we can scroll up. Our dual fire. Right about there. And there. Then we have our fire and water. And last but not least, the fire spirit. Okay, there we go. My favorite out of the bunch. As far as just looks alone are concerned, I like the look of this armor, the Fire and Water Raid armor. I like the look of the original though, so that's not that big of a stretch. But as far as just looks alone, I like the look of the Fire Water, this one here, which I think is probably seasonal. The Fire Spirit's pretty cool looking, but it's a different art team by the looks of it. And then the Fire Air is pretty cool too, just in its own way. The Fire Spirit is cool but weird. I mean, it's a cool armor, but it's just a little weird, a little out of left field. And that's kind of bothering me that it doesn't seem like it's centered. But it's just because there's a gap between this one and that one. Just throws my eyes off. But yeah, that's I like probably the Fire Water here because I like the original. The Fire Water here because it looks like a knight's armor. And I like knight armors in general. But I also like the Fire Earth and I also like the Fire and Spirit. So I don't know. It's the dual star metal, I'm not really worried either way. I mean, they're cool looking in their own way, but I've never been much of a fan of star metal. The looks of, I should say, the looks of star metal. I've never been much of a fan. They're cool looking armors, like I said, in their own way, but I don't know, not really my thing. I like just regular kind of knight armors in general. Okay, wanted to save my progress here before I moved on. Okay, so now I'm going to put in my usual text box doohickeys down here. Start about here to about there, I think should work. I think I usually use 28, if I remember right. The size of the box a little bit big, but I can always adjust that. I don't want it to be too wide. But I can always move and shrink it up a bit. Ta-da! Okay. Now we have the materials. I'm actually going to make a new layer now because I think it's about time to make a new layer. Haven't made one the whole time I've been doing this. Now I don't know which of these two is going to be exclusive versus seasonal. I'm going to assume that this one is probably going to be a regular, and this one will be the exclusive, but I'm not really sure. I can't say for certain one way or the other which one will be which, but most likely this one's exclusive and this one's seasonal, but I'm honestly not sure. Now we're going to throw down pets. Oh, hang on, before I move on. I need to edit this by itself. I need to edit the cape as well. So I need to put the cape behind it so you can kind of see what it would look like. This cape is probably going to disappear, to be honest, behind that armor. Actually, let me resize this. Much larger than it currently is, just so I have some room to work with. I have a feeling most people are not going to like this cape. Yeah, yeah, that was it, Knight of Respite or whatever it was called. That was a goofy looking armor. Agreed. It was a cool looking armor in its own way, but it was definitely goofy. Okay, so let's see how this is going to look here. So this is going to be, whoops, put that right about. Switch the layers really quick. Might be just a little bit lower. It pretty much disappears behind the armor. You can't really even see it. Like if I zoom in here, you can't even really see it. It's there, but it's so like small it just disappears. But that's what we have. So let me move this back into one layer now. We're going to resize this again now that I have the cape in it. not going to be hugely different than it was. But I'm going to have to make the actual file size itself smaller so it can fit on the sheet a little better. And we're going to save you. Actually, yeah, let's save you. With cape. And we're going to resize you. Let's do 225. I think that'll be good. Okay. All right, back to here now. Let's do the pets first. Tier 1. I'm going to put you right about there. Tier 2. It's funny, it's something I only noticed. I don't know why I didn't notice it until just recently. But if you zoom in, there's these lines that make it nice and easy to line them up. I don't know why I never saw those before. I just never paid attention. But I was always trying to get these to line up perfectly, and then I looked at that and went, oh, there's a line right there. I'm an idiot. I don't know why I didn't see them before, but here we are. So now I can go to here, I can go down, 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 right there, and then move it over. Kind of get the gap between them, like between here and here and between there and there, to be kind of the same. That's all I'm really doing now. I don't know why I didn't see that before. I feel like an idiot. Move you up, but not quite overlapping. There we go. And then I can scooch them a little closer in a minute. Yeah, I felt like kind of an idiot when I saw that. I'm like, oh, there's a little line there. I could just line them up with that. Yeah, I felt like kind of an idiot when I realized that. Scooch in a little closer to here. I can get white on this because I'm not worried about the bottom end. Going to be a new event this month. For October, yes. There's a Halloween event of some kind. I don't know what's going to happen with it or anything else, but there is supposed to be a Halloween event. There's 2 additional armors in the data for October. So. But I don't know what else beyond that. All I know is that there's 2 additional armors, so there should be at least some kind of event for that. If nothing else. I just don't know what the plans are at this point. Sorry, I bumped the microphone there. Probably made a lot of noise. Okay, so there's our pets. Now I'm going to go over to our bosses, to the very bottom here. I'm going to put them more or less right below this, with enough text in between. Oh, next month? I'm not sure. There could be. I don't know. I mean, there's those additional random, like, corn and cherry materials. I have no idea what those are. So it's entirely possible there will be. I'll get to those in just a minute, but I honestly don't know if there will be or won't be. Kind of trying to get those lined up in between here and here. So it looks pretty good. So there's our bosses. Let me jump back to my... Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I've lost my folder. There it is. Had to find the elements again. So fire. I'm going to drop fire down. See where I'm at here. About there. And right about there. And then the left-hand one is spirit. And the right-hand one is water. Oop. What are you doing? Paste, you dumb thing. There we go. Like so. There's our bosses. Okay. Go right about here. Probably end up moving that because it looks like it's off-center to me. I made the box a little too big too. I'm going to have to move it and chop off the excess. Like about like that. Now I can take this and kind of center it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I didn't hit the hit the keyboard to move it, you dumbass. I'm having one of those days. I've been kind of mentally fried all day. Okay, so let me save that really quick. All right, so now I'm going to put in our cape. The cape image itself, which will go more or less right about there. And then the armor with the cape will go right next to it, to the right, even though you can't really see it that much anyway. But that's okay. And then we'll put a little box right about here. I think I made that one a little bit big too, but that's okay. I'm actually going to shrink that up a little bit too. I made that one way too big. Way too tall, I mean. There we go. That's much better. Okay. I'll move the entire box kind of in the middle between the two. Ta-da! Okay. So that is basically that. Let me fill in the background with black so you can really get a good look at them all. So there's that. Now I just need to throw those extra random materials in and put my additional text in besides. So let's go up to here, to here. Oops, wrong one. So this is going to be second row, third armor. Kind of center that a little bit. And this one is first row, second armor. Kind of get that a little bit centered too. Okay. Now we're going to switch to here. Season 52, fire. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger so it kind of grabs your attention. And I'm going to now throw an effect on that. Make it glow a bit so it's much more obvious. Okay, now I need to go back to here. And we're going to now put my little bits of... Actually, let me put the other additional miscellaneous stuff in here too. These aren't in order, and I'm not too concerned about it, but I'm going to put them here at the bottom. Oops, not that layer. Not that layer. Let's make a new one, actually. So we have... I have no idea what these materials are for, but I'm going to put them down here anyway, so you can kind of see them side by side. I probably shouldn't have filled in that background. Actually, I'm going to go back here and delete it, just to be on the safe side, because it's going to mess with me if I don't. I want to try to line these up somewhat. This is going to be a little bit harder because there's not really a defined upper edge to anything. Oops, I'm in the wrong layer. No wonder it's not moving. Right about there. Okay, now next one. Gonna go right about there. But not perfect, but it's okay. It'll be close enough. When you zoom out, it won't be as obvious. Yeah, this one kind of looks more star metal-y. This one looks more air. Okay, a little bit closer. There we go. Oops, don't do that. Clicking the wrong thing. And then that one will be our Earth. There we we go. See how that looks. Looks pretty good. And now we're going to put the cherries a bit more on the right of that, so there's more room to kind of maneuver with. About like that. This is going to be like that. Kind of trying to get them somewhat lined up with each other and with the whole layout in general. There we go. Got two more. And I realize the elements don't match between the two, but that's okay. Whoops. Keep hitting the wrong button. Go to Alt, Tab, and switch windows, and I'm hitting paste on accident instead. Okay, let's see how that looks. That looks actually pretty good. I'm going to move these corn cobs just in a little bit so they're not quite as far away. Let's see, zoom out here a little bit. There's kind of the same gap on both sides, you know, on the left and on the right. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, now I'm going to make one more text box. In between the two. Whoa, what are you doing? Don't do that. Undo. I did not mean to do that. I was trying to get it somewhat centered in here, and I moved the whole thing on accident. I made that box way too small. Crap. Okay, let me do that really quick. Make that box a little bigger. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just gonna assume that they're pet bait because I don't know what they would be otherwise. Oh, welcome back. You got back just in time for me to finish, basically. I'm just going to put baits question mark because I'm not positive that's what they are. But I'm just going to leave that there like it is because I'm not sure. Okay, now I need to go to here, background, fill that in with black so I can see it again. Now I'm going to shorten this up because I don't need it to be that long. Let's go to about 1210. There we go, much better. Now I can put my information over here on the far right. Make sure you're red. No, this is not going to work. I gotta make it smaller, and I gotta move it. I may have to make it longer here. Way too long to fit there. I'm gonna have to make this whole thing right aligned. Not gonna look right if I don't. There we go. That looks better. Ta-da! And done. So we are finished now officially. So one final time for those of you who might not have been watching at the time, we have Fire, Air, most likely War, Raid, Exclusive, Seasonal, Fusion, Seasonal, Seasonal, Raid, War, Ultimate. in 5 months. So that's what my predictions are at this point. Of course, I'll update this on. I'll put this all up online as well, so people can look it up on KnD Bot whenever they want to. But that is it. So thanks everyone for joining in. This is a little bit later in the month than I usually do it, only because the files arrived a little bit later. As I said earlier on, toward the beginning of the stream, the first pack of data I got only had 8 armors. It did not have the ring and amulet sets for everything, and the dual fire was not in the files originally either. The second set I got had all the rings and amulets, but was still missing 2 armors, which was the dual star metal and also the dual fire. And then the final pack of data I got had everything in it. So, and along with these guys, this was actually the last bit. These last 10 images right here, or 12 images at the bottom, were in the last pack of data I got just late last night. So that's it. So thanks everyone for joining me. I appreciate it. If anyone's interested, of course, which of course don't have to do, there is a donate button directly below my viewing window there. If you want to look down there, I am accepting donations, of course, if you feel up to it. But that's it. So thanks everyone for joining. See you in about 4 weeks ish for the next one. So have a good rest of your week, and good luck in the Guild War coming up on Friday. Thanks, guys. See ya.